Neville Goddard talked about something most people skip right over. He called them states. Not emotions, not feelings exactly, not affirmations, states. And if you actually understand what he meant, manifestation stops being something you do and becomes something you occupy. Let me explain. Most people who encounter Neville grab onto techniques. They learn about SATs, or scripting, or inner conversations, and they start doing them like rituals. Repeat the scene. Feel the feeling. Hold the image. And sometimes it works, but often it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because the technique was never the point. The state was the point. So what is a state? A state, the way Neville described it, is a total configuration of consciousness. It's not one thought. It's not one emotion. It's the entire orientation of your inner world at any given time. Think of it this way. You know what it feels like to wake up in a good mood? Not because something specific happened, but because something shifted in you overnight. Everything looks different. The same apartment, the same job, the same people. But the whole thing feels different because you are different. That is a state change. And Neville's radical claim was this: every outer condition you experience is the reflection of a state you are occupying inwardly. Not a thought you had once. Not a vision board you looked at. A state. A persistent inner posture. Here is why this matters more than most people realize. When someone says, "I've been affirming for weeks and nothing has changed," the problem is almost never the affirmation. The problem is that the affirmation is a thin layer on top of a state that hasn't moved. You can say, "I am wealthy," 10,000 times. But if the state you are living from is one of lack, then the affirmation is just noise on the surface. The state is the signal. The affirmation is decoration. This is also why Neville said, "You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are." He was not speaking loosely. He meant it structurally. The state you inhabit is the blueprint. Reality conforms to the blueprint. Now here is where this gets philosophically interesting and where most Neville content stops short. Why would states work this way? If you think reality is purely physical, if you think matter is fundamental and consciousness is just a side effect of neurons firing, then none of this makes any sense. States would be irrelevant. Your inner world would have no structural relationship to what shows up in your life. But if consciousness is fundamental, if the visible world is an expression within awareness rather than something separate from it, then states become the most important thing you could possibly understand. Because now, a state is not just a psychological mood. A state is a structural position within consciousness itself. It is a location in the architecture of reality. When you shift states, you are not just changing your attitude. You are repositioning yourself in a deeper field. And because reality arises from that field, the outer world reorganizes accordingly. This is why Neville spoke with such certainty. He was not offering motivational tips. He was describing the mechanics of a consciousness-first reality. So how does this change your practice? First, stop obsessing over techniques. Techniques are useful, but only as tools for entering a state. If you are doing sats mechanically, without actually shifting your inner posture, you are polishing the doorknob without opening the door. The real question is not what scene should I visualize. The real question is what state am I living from right now? And is it the state of the person who already has what I desire? Second, notice that states are not forced. You cannot muscle your way into a state. You can, however, become familiar with a state. You can visit it, dwell in it, let it become natural. Neville used the phrase dwell in the state. Not force the state. Not chase the state. Dwell. Settle in. Make it your home. Third, recognize that states are not about denial. Occupying a new state does not mean pretending your current situation is different than it is. It means your inner orientation has genuinely shifted, even while the outer hasn't caught up yet. This is a subtle but critical point. You are not lying to yourself. You are relocating your center of gravity. And finally, understand that everyone is always in a state. There is no neutral position. Right now, you are in a state. The question is simply whether it is one you chose or one you drifted into by default. Most people drift. They absorb the state of their circumstances. They let the outer world dictate their inner posture. And then they wonder why things don't change. Neville's invitation was to reverse that flow. Choose your state first. Inhabit it. And let reality rearrange itself around the new position. This is not magic. It is not wishful thinking. It is the natural consequence of living in a reality where consciousness is primary and states are structural. If you are serious about manifestation, forget the techniques for a moment. Ask yourself one question. What state am I in right now? And if it is not the state of someone who has what you desire, then that is where the real work begins. Not in doing more, in shifting where you stand.